In this lesson, we'll cover reinforcing walls, floors, or slabs. So whether you want to put reinforcement rebar in a wall, floor, or slab, the technique could be done a very similar way. So let's say we want to put rebar in the lower wing of this floor. We're looking at floor 1. One method is I need to add rebar from a section view or an elevation view to look at it parallel to the screen. And we'll create the rebar by looking at the east end from where my mouse is at. So let's go to our east elevation. Scroll down to Elevations in Project Browser and double-click East. Here, let's zoom in on the lower left corner of the building. Where my mouse is at is where we'll add our rebar reinforcement. So let's go to the Structure tab on the ribbon, click Rebar. Then on the very right, let's verify the placement is parallel to the work plane, in other words, the way we're looking at the screen. Our layout, instead of single, let's use minimum clearance spacing, and we'll set our spacing to 100. In the shape browser below, choose the rebar shape M00. If you do not see the shape browser, on the options bar, click the button with the 3 dots, the ellipse button, to open the shape browser. You can also select the rebar from the drop-down. Now, all I have to do is mouse over where I want this rebar to be placed, in this instance, this lower floor, and left click. This will place the rebar within that floor slab. Click Modify to deselect. If I want to see the rebar within the floor visually unobstructed, I could turn on its actual setting for this. But first, let's look at the floor plan. So let's close this view, which takes us back to the floor plan. Visually, by default, you do not see the rebar. But if you move your mouse over the actual view, you'll see the blue area highlight telling us it's the structural rebar we just added. Now, if I want to visually see this for detail, go ahead and select the rebar. The rebar will be on the left now in the property area. Scroll down to the graphic area where it reads View Visibility States. Click Edit. In this editor, this is where we can tell Revit to display the rebar. So let's scroll down to the structural plan, the entry level 01, and actually checkmark the view unobstructed. This means even though the rebar sits inside of the concrete slab, we'll still see it. Click OK. This will then turn the rebar on if I wanted to show this in a detailed view. Now, ideally, you wouldn't show this because at the scale we're at, it would just seem like it's one continuous solid slab or dark line. But here, if I zoom in, I could see my rebar that's been placed inside of this actual slab. To turn that back off, simply reverse the process. Click Edit to the right of Visibility States and uncheckmark the checkbox to the right of the entry-level Floor 1. This will remove that rebar from being shown within Plan View. So as a review, in this lesson, we looked at creating rebar or other reinforcements in walls, floors, or slabs. We added the rebar from a profile or a section view or elevation view of the floor for which we wanted to add the rebar within. We started the rebar tool, verified its placement, selected the actual profile or shape, and then placed it inside a structural member, such as the floor. Then we visually looked at the floor plan and then turned on the shape by editing the actual state of the rebar within the view.